And we are live. What's up, guys? Chaz here with Side Hustle Pros, bringing you a live, pretty much unscheduled show. We just said, hey, let's hop on YouTube Live and do some fun stuff for you guys. So welcome. If you have any comments, questions, be sure to utilize that chat bar. If you get any value out of this for the next however long we're on here, go ahead and smash that like button. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. So I'm super excited. We are bringing on a face we haven't had on here in a while. It's been far too long, but Mr. Caleb Roth, most of you probably know him from creating eFlip, which is hands down our favorite book program to use for finding Amazon to Amazon flips. So Caleb, if you want to give a little bit of backstory for the new subscribers who don't know who you are, and go from there.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Chaz, and it's an honor to be here. And I kind of tell my wife it feels like we're doing like a book tour and jumping on some of the interviews and whatever. I'm just waiting for, Good Morning America to call me up, but I don't think that's going to happen just yet. So yeah, my name's Caleb, and my wife and I run a book business completely, 100% books. Actually, we'll get into the background a little bit. Started about 2 years ago, and both of us have been fortunate enough to be able to quit our jobs and actually sell books full time. And we've kind of morphed over the last really 2 years. eFlip came out in December of 15. So we've kind of morphed over the last 2 years more into software, but we still make the majority of our revenue off of physical books. So we found a way to scale that business, and I share a lot of that journey on my blog over at thebookflipper.com. So you can check that out as well. Chaz is taking a little photo, so hey, what's up, man?
Instagram.
There you go. Let everybody know. So most people start selling books on Amazon. I don't know if that's your background, Chaz.
I wasn't paying attention. What was that?
Oh, sorry. I said most people start with books when they get started on Amazon. Is that your story as well?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we got started. I took a little 3-day seminar, heard about Amazon. I thought it would be fun. So I went into, technically my first purchase was actually perfume because I didn't know what hazmat meant. I didn't know what restriction meant when it popped up, so I bought it anyways. Yeah. So that didn't work out. So yeah, we started the same way, the typical books from around the house. As a massage therapist in my prior career, I had a couple of massage books laying around that were worth like $80, and I had no idea they were still worth that much. So those were my first couple flips.
Yeah, it's fantastic when you start out that way. How long did you then go to libraries and thrift stores and that stuff, or did you quickly kind of graduate up and out of books?
We eventually, I'm trying to remember the timeline, how this went down, because this was 2 years ago. So it was the typical Goodwill was like my honey hole. We have one Goodwill here. My buddy Mike is going to be watching this and just laugh because he knows which one I'm talking about. So we have one Goodwill here that's right next to the most popular college within this whole Northwest area. And it's just, I mean, you go in there and you just pick out textbook after textbook for $5. So that was a really sweet one. And then of course, thrift stores. I haven't done the libraries yet.
That's a whole different animal.
Yeah, that's what I hear too. You gotta go in there with some elbows ready.
Yeah, you do. Yep. Yeah. And if you're going to do library sales, it sounds like if you're going to go gear up for it, I would bring a team. Mm-hmm. Hire some friends, give them some beer money, pizza money, whatever, or just set them up as employees or whatever you're going to do. Bring a team because it's a mad rush, and you pretty much have about 60 to 90 minutes to really make hay. Yeah. And so if you have 2 people, you're going to get twice the books as if you had 1, and same thing with 4 people.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, with Amazon in general, but especially books, it's a game of speed. Like the second doors open to a place, whether it's a thrift store, Goodwill, or if it's a library sale, estate sale, whatever, the second those doors open, man, you've got a couple hours maybe to really get that good stuff. So the more widespread you can get with the team, the better.
Absolutely. So well, that's cool. Yeah. So it's interesting watching people's journeys. A lot of people start with books and then they might stick with it for several months, or some people stay with it. They love it. They get into the bulk business and buy books by the Gaylord or the semi-load. Mm-hmm. Some people hire teams and they send people to library sales once a month, and that's it. They don't touch books other than that. They drive all over and kind of hit the sales. And other people kind of branch up and out. So you're getting into retail arbitrage, and I got to hand it to you. You called it on the Fingerlings toys. They're still pretty hot.
Yep. Called that one back in August. I'm like, I think this might be a good toy this year. And sure enough, wildfire.
Yep. Fortunately, there's no risk of like a huge supply coming out, is there?
I mean, you never know. They could come in with just truckloads in every store. But at this point, it's cutting it so close. I highly doubt it.
Yep. That's awesome. So it's kind of fun seeing people get into that. Of course, merch by Amazon is pretty hot, and a lot of people are kind of jumping into that as well. We've you know, we've toyed with the idea of getting into merch. We got an account, we listed a shirt just to keep it active, and we haven't even sold one, haven't done anything with it. And we've thought about getting into private label or wholesale or kind of wherever the next shiny thing is. And really, we've just stayed with books. My wife and I kind of sat down. She keeps me grounded and says, hey, you know, we're good at what we're doing. We're making, you know, decent money doing this. Why chase the shiny thing instead of neglecting what's working? Let's just keep focusing on that. So books has been it. And we got a new app launched actually this weekend. It came out on Friday afternoon. After a little bit of issues, Apple decided not to index our title. So you could search Caleb Roth in the App Store. You could search our tagline, Scout Smarter, Not Harder, and it would show up. But if you went to SQOUTIQ, it wasn't there.
Oh,
so
they wouldn't be launched without some glitches, right?
No, and we had some issues with our payment processor and all kinds of stuff, and it just happens. But we're active now. My buddy, the guy that does all my web design, Matthew, he's a big Android guy, and I'm still an Apple guy. Still an iPhone guy through and through. He's like, well, you should just switch to Android. Google's got it together. I'm like, well, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, we've got people asking, what is the app? People are already asking.
The app.
I want to dive a little bit more into what is this as far as the app goes. How is it different from maybe other apps that are out there? I know that you ran a huge beta test on this thing, and we had so many people flooding through. I followed along with the group, seeing how everyone's doing, and I mean, just the numbers people were pulling out. Like there was a post, you probably know what I'm talking about. Was it yesterday or the day before? Somebody was talking about how much profit they were pulling just from using that app.
There's a lot of them. Again, kind of the game we play, and I'll just back up a step. For those that don't sell on Amazon or aren't familiar with e-commerce, we kind of live in a crazy time. I used to try and resell stuff back at garage sales in high school. And I look young, but I'm getting up there. And so we're talking, this is before the iPhone, you know, before you had a smartphone in your hand. We used to run around to garage sales and pull out our flip phones and call home, you know, to a regular, you know, phone, not even a cell phone. We'd have someone with dial-up internet sitting there, and we just relay what we're seeing. Hey, I've got a Land SX70 Polaroid camera. What's it selling for on eBay? And someone would go do the research and try and figure it out. So that's the game we used to live in. Now you've got basically a computer in your hand. We're pretty spoiled. And so the idea is with anything, retail arbitrage, our app specifically is books right now, but we'll be expanding shortly. The idea is that you can actually scan a book and see the value on Amazon. So like you said, it's a numbers game, it's a speed game. In books now, there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of books on the market, and Amazon's raised the fees over the last year or two, and it's hurt the book market to some extent, although it still is fairly vibrant. And so it's a speed game, and you'll see, if you see the posts, we've got a way to track your scans, and most people are only pulling, you know, 4 or 5 or 6% of the books are actually winners. So it's just a numbers game. You got to get in, you got to get through the 95 books out of 100 that are junk really fast, and know that they're worthless, and then get to the other ones. And I'll kind of show you, one, how our app helps with that, but two, some of the tools we use if you want to get into it. Books are the easiest way to get started just because they're cheap. They're everywhere. Like you mentioned, you had books around your house. I've got books around my house, and some of them are worth selling, but I'm going to keep them because I think it makes me look smart if they're sitting there on the shelves, right? But it's a good way to get started. You can go to thrift stores and library sales. They're pretty cheap. And whether you're looking to stick with books, that's great. Or if you want to kind of trade up or go to other categories, books is the great way to learn it. You're not going to make a lot of mistakes spending $1 or $2. So you can kind of pay for your education that way and then see where you want to take it.
That's the other part I love about books too, because I know I'm following along in the chat here as we go. And if you guys have questions, please drop those in the chat, and I'll pick and pull those out as they fit. You can get started with books, and your risk is so low. There's barely any restrictions as far as major titles go. There's a couple, but you're rarely going to run into those. And your risk is so low as far as your buy cost goes, because you are spending 50 cents, $1, maybe $2 max for your books. And I love that this is kind of a great segue too. Somebody asked, but where do you start? So if you're not a bookseller, where do you start? There's 1,000 books at a library sale. So I think this will be a great segue to talk about, like, what's a standard person do if you just have your Amazon sellers app? You walk into a bookstore and go, what did I get myself into, right? Yeah. So talk about the process of like the manual labor, and then talk about how the app can get in there and help speed up that process.
Sure. So there's really, I guess, 3, maybe 4 pieces you've got to figure out in your business. One is, what are you going to use to find the books? Or like, you can start with the Amazon seller app. It's free. I could show you a couple of demos with that. The data is all there, but it takes a long time. You have to have an internet connection. You've got to kind of click around. It's not really optimized to be set up with a scanner, for example, and I'll show you what that looks like as well. So step one is just scanning the book and knowing how to read the data. What does sales rank mean? Where do you go? Step two is taking those, like figuring out which books to buy, take them home and then list them. Step three then is kind of the inventory management after that. You've got to reprice your books. I think you were talking about, you just signed up with Be Cool. There's a lot of repricing softwares out there. And if you just price your books and leave them, they're going to get stagnant pretty quickly.
Yep.
So you've got to figure out how to source, list, figure out how to manage the sell side. And then step four isn't really a physical step, but it's optimization. How do you figure out how to be, like you said, how do you scout smarter, not harder? How do you apply the 80-20 principles to this business? So anybody can run around, and there's very low barrier to entry. If you have a smartphone and cell phone connection, you can run around and scan books to see what they're selling for on Amazon. And then after that, it's, where do you want to upgrade your game and try and speed it up?
Sorry, I was just reading a comment. Best thing to say if you want to go for the best bang for your buck, go to a library sale, bill a bag day, and hit nonfiction textbooks, law, and finance. From there, I will do religion and fiction. Is that kind of like the tier, or do you have a specific tier if you walk into a sale that you're looking for?
Yeah, so nonfiction is the best place to go. In general, fiction books are going to be like mass market paperbacks, romance novels. You're wasting your time there. There are some books in there that are worth it, but they're so few and far between that your time is best spent. It's all about maximizing your time, especially in a library sale where it's competitive. So you're going to look for nonfiction. I actually got a blog post where we took every book in a library. We didn't scan it. We asked for their database and they gave it to us. We actually went back and ran it through Amazon, and they had everything with a Dewey Decimal System or whatever categorization system they had. And we actually broke it out. We've got a blog. So if you go to thebookflipper.com and search categories, just type that up in the search box, it'll pop up the article we did. It actually breaks down which books are the most profitable. In this case, it was a college library, and it's mostly nonfiction books. So the top categories were very technical: math, art, trying to remember what else, medical was up there, textbooks for sure, but textbooks can get out of date so quickly as well. But it definitely start there. Your best chances of finding a $100 book are in textbooks. Awesome. And then you'll kind of learn other categories that really make sense. If I see an auto repair manual like the Haynes repair manuals, I'm jumping all over those because they're pretty much worth, it depends, but 10 to 15 to 20 bucks, and it's usually a quick flip. So you'll learn kind of what you like. Business can be good, religion can be really good. You'll just kind of figure out, what your favorite books are and which ones tend to have value.
It's weird. It's almost like you have to just get out there and scan to learn how to scan better.
Absolutely. And one thing we did, like we used to run around to Goodwills quite a bit, and we'd walk in and a lot of times they're categorized. So who knows if they're accurate or not, but you'll see a shelf full of fiction and then nonfiction. And we used to just go right to the nonfiction, kind of scan everything and then leave. And then we said, well, wait, are we leaving money on the table? So we started going through, and again, we'll show you how fast it is to scan books. But every once in a while, we challenge ourselves. Let's go to sections that we just think there's no value. And we'd be surprised. Sometimes we're spot on. There's nothing there, and it's like, yep, that's why we don't do it. Other times you pull out $50 to $100 books and you're going, man, I'm glad I went through here. And part of it is there is value in fiction. You just have to know what you're looking for. So it is a speed game. How fast can you get through the losers to find the winners? And then part of it is you just got to hone your eye to look for the value as well.
Brian says, I need your barber, Caleb. Fade is tight.
I just got a cut today. I asked for the military cut. So yeah, thanks.
Nice. Looking good, man. Did anyone ask how the app is being discussed and compared to other apps like FBA scan, pricing structure, all that good stuff? So it sounds like, are you guys ready just to kind of see this thing in action? Because I know, Caleb, if you want to, go ahead.
Sure, we can jump right in, yeah.
Jump right in there and show these good boys what it does.
Well, and actually, I got the Amazon seller app pulled up, so we can actually show that, and I'll show you how that compares. So awesome. If people just get started, I'll kind of show you what to look at the data, and we'll go from there. Let me share my screen if I could get this to work.
And again, if you guys have questions along the way, feel free to drop those in the chat. We'll get those answered for you.
All right, so you can see the screen there. Is that in a good spot?
Good on my end. How about you guys?
All right, so this is the Amazon seller app. I don't have my screen up anymore, but I got a side hustle book. I figure I'd pull that up since you guys are side hustle pros. Are you familiar with the Chris Guillebeau book?
I am not, shockingly.
Oh man, so Chris Guillebeau wrote one of my all-time favorite books. It's called The $100 Startup, and it just chronicles a bunch of people that literally got started for $100 or less, which you can do in this business. And he just took people that had skills in language or learning how to travel or whatever it was, tutoring, and helped them get their businesses started. And a lot of these people built 6 or 7 figure businesses with $100 and an idea. So this is kind of an extension. But anyway, I've got the Amazon seller app, and you can pull that out. You can actually type a title if you want, or they've got like a face scan feature, so you can do this and it'll find the book, which is pretty cool. But again, it has to talk to the internet and kind of go through that. So here's the book we're looking at. And again, it's multiple clicks. You can see the rank up in the top corner, 2008, which is phenomenal. On Amazon, anything under 100,000 pretty much sold within the last hour, give or take. Rank is updated every hour. So kind of key metrics, 100,000 means it sold an hour ago. 1 million, so if the book doesn't sell, it kind of creeps up. So if it hits 1 million, it probably hasn't sold in 5 to 7 days. If it hits 2 million, it probably hasn't sold in 6 to 8 weeks, give or take. So rank is very important. You have to understand that. And then secondly, pretty much all the books we sell, or if you find them at a thrift store or a garage sale or wherever, they're going to be used. So you're going to look at the new prices here, and it'll show you the lowest new price, $15.99, shows you what the fees are and tells you you're going to make $11.79. It also shows you that there are no FBA offers because anybody that's listed it has either sold it or no one sent it in yet because it's a brand new book. I actually just bought this maybe 3-4 weeks ago. So maybe when I'm done, I'll send it back in. So that's the seller app, and you can just keep going. So let's say you got another book. Let's see how fast we can kind of churn through these. You can pull up a barcode like that. There's the book. Let's click through. Go back to used. The FBA offer here is $12.99. So that's the lowest prime price if you're going to sell, and that's how I sell books. At our high point, we had 17,000 books at inventory, and we had 0 of those in our house, which was fantastic. My wife would kill me if we filled our basement full of books. So again, you can get started. If you have an Amazon account, you get the Amazon seller app, and it's just as fast as you can, pull up barcodes and scan through and find the books. So we're looking at rank 5,000. Again, it's selling all the time. FBA offers start at $8. And on an $8 book, you're not going to make much in profits, but it's there. So that's the seller app, and it works very well. The other thing you can do, let me go back out, kind of show you what we're working with here. All right, can you see my ugly mug again? All right, so we got the book, you got your app. One thing you can do as well, so you can use your phone's camera and just get started that way. It's super easy. This is my wife's girly case, so don't be judging. What you can do is you can get a Bluetooth barcode scanner. So it's about the size of a 9-volt battery. This is an Opticon 2002. I really like it. Super durable. They're several years old. I think they were launched in 2002, hence the year. The other really popular scanner is the KDC 200, and they're about the same size. They both work pretty well. And if you do this, you can hook up a barcode scanner, and now you can scan books much more quickly. So you don't have to turn your camera on and suck your phone's battery. You can actually hook the Bluetooth scanner up as well. So that's going to speed up your game. And if you did that with the Amazon seller app, that's a great way to get started. Or if you don't want to spend any money, just use the seller app. It's not going to hurt you. And then if you decide that you want to, really invest in something and kind of speed up your scouting, then you're going to want to look at a scouting app. All right, any other questions that came up? Otherwise, we'll pop up and I'll give you a little sneak peek at
one of our admin here. Rockstars, James, shout out to James, asks, what is the next category to be added and when? He's hoping for CDs.
Aha. So we'll get into timelines a little bit here. Let me show you the app first, but we'll just answer his question. Why not? So the next thing we're going to be adding is buy costs. So we left buy costs out of the app. And in the Amazon seller app, it's assuming you got the book for free. It just shows you your sell price, $12. Amazon's fees, $4. You'll make $8 or whatever. So it'll kind of show you that based on if you're selling the book. Then you got to figure out if you're sending it in an FBA or not, and all the other costs that go into it. We didn't put buy costs in on purpose because people would put them in and forget they were there. But our customer base, that's one of the cool things of doing a beta test. You just ask people, hey, what do you like? What do you don't like? And enough people came back and said, we need buy costs. We need to see what it is. We're used to it. We like it. Okay, fine, we'll add it. So that's the next piece we're adding. Don't hold us to it, but probably 7 to 10 days we'll be rolling out with that. That'll be back in the app. And then we're going to be doing live lookups for any categories probably by mid-December. So you'll get your CDs then. You can look up anything you want, anything with a UPC, anything with a title, ISBN, you name it, we can find it.
Awesome. And that's going to be huge.
Yep. So we optimize for books. There's a lot. We have a database, and we'll show you why that's important in a minute. When you're looking up on Amazon, you're looking up live data, which is great because it's as accurate as it gets, but it takes you that second or two to see the data, and then you got to click through, and it's a lot of navigation versus being able to kind of instantly see the value, which we'll show you there. So when we did the beta, we purposely kept it small. We got a smaller group of people. We kind of opened it up. I kind of joked with my developer, it was the largest beta test in the history of beta tests. It wasn't, but we had a lot of people in there, and it was awesome, but it was also a lot of work to maintain expectations. But we had an awesome group. They gave us tremendous feedback. They got antsy. We actually launched for Apple first with the beta. We were waiting on Google to get some pieces out as well. And so they were coming after us with pitchforks. They were all joking, I think. I didn't give anybody my address, so we never found out, but that's pretty cool. Any other questions there?
This would be a good one. Does it show restricted items?
So restricted items is an interesting piece. We're actually talking with Amazon and some other developers right now. The restricted notification is not in Amazon's API. So if you scan something, it doesn't know if it's restricted. The only way to get it is to kind of do a live page load in the backgrounds and actually try and list it into your account and let Amazon tell you if you can't do it or not. So it's not in the API. The only way really to do it is kind of screen scraping, which is kind of borderline against the terms. I've been told there's other ways to get at it that are somewhat legal, and we're going to try and play with it. We're not going to do anything that violates the terms. We don't want to get us shut down or our customers shut down. That said, we do have all the common restricted books in our database. So we've kind of gone through one by one. We've used software, but we've essentially gone through and found the books that are restricted. And out of roughly 20 million books in our database, there are less than 1,000 that are restricted. So it's not huge. Actually, one of those books I scanned showed up as restricted. Let me pull it. And usually what happens is you can list the normal book just fine, but if you try and, sometimes there'll be like an audio book or a CD or something else. That one showed up fine. Let me try it one more time. The Amazon seller app will tell you. It's the only place really to know if it's truly restricted. So here, if you can see that screen, see if it adjusts there. You see the red bar there says restricted. So the top book there, which is the one we have, is good, and that's fine. The second one down is restricted, and the sales rank is higher. So it's probably a duplicate listing, and Amazon is actually trying to keep people off the listing, which is good. You can list this. So our app, if you scan a book that's commonly restricted, it'll flash a red warning, and you can actually click through, go to your account, try and list it, and I can show you how that works as well. But it's not exactly tied to your account because there's no way that we've found yet to get that data.
Yeah, and one tip I give for you guys too, I tell people this all the time. This is how I do it, because if I use a third-party app to scan, a toy or something like that, and I see that there's profit, I check for profit first, check for what the rank is, sales history, but then I check and see if I'm restricted. Yep. You want to use just as minimal time as you can for scanning stuff. So if you scan it, there's profit, just real quick, check on your seller's app just to confirm that you're good to go on it.
Yep, that's a good point. And again, like if you walk into a thrift store, you might scan 500 books and walk out with 15 or 20. That's just the nature of the game. So you're absolutely right. There's no point checking for other restrictions except maybe on those 15. And in books, typically, you were saying $5 for a textbook at Goodwill. So
yeah, that's a little on our high side. We got some high stuff out here.
Yeah, we certainly have some thrift stores here in Denver that charge, $5, $6, $7, $8, sometimes 10 or 12 bucks. But the majority of books are under $2. It's just kind of how it is. And so worst case, you get home, you can't list it. You can usually sell it into BookScouter, and one of the big wholesalers or book buyback guys will buy it, or you can sell it on eBay.
Yep.
So in general, you're not really going to get burned in books. CDs and DVDs is a whole different world, and we'll hopefully figure that one out before we try and roll those categories in.
And that's a real quick, I want to slide in with a tip here. We, for the longest time, only scanned books on Amazon. And I came across this book. It was 50 cents, big old thick thing. I forgot what it was, some math book, but it was 50 cents and it was ringing out for Amazon sold it for 300. Wow. So I'm like, winner. Get it home, get to prepping that load I'm working on. I get this book. I'm excited. And then across the top, I was so excited about the numbers. I didn't even look at the big black bold lettering up top that said instructor's edition.
Yep.
On Amazon, we can't sell those technically. So I ended up letting it sit on my shelf, I kid you not, for almost a year. Because I'm like, well, what the hell are we going to do with this thing? And then finally, Tris was like, well, let's just look it up on eBay. I'm like, books aren't selling on eBay. And sure enough, I checked that thing. It sold for $80 that next day.
Nice.
So yeah, always check other options too, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, instructor's editions, teacher editions, international editions, they're all legal to be sold. Even the free comp copies for instructors. A lot of people say, well, it says it's not for resale. Well, Supreme Court says once you own it, it's yours to do with what you want. Amazon says don't sell it here, so you can't do it. But eBay is a good outlet in a lot of cases.
Looks like somebody asked about Founders Club bonuses. We will cover those ones at the end for you because we do have some discounts and bonuses coming your way. Did you already select a winner for the Life app?
Yeah, the lifetime subscription. Derek Palmer won. Nice. So we did a bunch of 3-month subscriptions, and we did a lifetime deal, and I think we had 40 or 50 people actually comment. We don't have a huge social media following. We're not quite up there like you guys are. That's why we kind of network with you guys, which is great. We'll have to chit chat. I have no idea how to I think my Instagram account is like stuck at 2,200 people or something.
Oh yeah, we can help you out with that.
We'll have to figure that out. All these people come and tell you, hey, we can grow you up to 50,000 or something. I'm like, how ethical is that? And are they the people I want following me?
Yeah, there's a lot of like bots and different things out there. You have 50,000 followers, but if your engagement is less than 1%, what's the point, right? I know some people, some people have a smaller following or subscriber base, but their engagement is through the roof.
Yep.
Right? Because in the social media game, I mean, it's all Gary Vee style, right? It's depth, not width, especially when it comes down to social media.
Yep. Yeah, it's a different animal. We actually hired our first full-time guy as we were getting closer to our launch, and he's a big social media web type guy, marketing guy. So he's actually in the other room, so we'll be tapping him on the shoulder, asking him to help our game a little bit there.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
And all right, we're good on questions. Again, if you guys have questions along the way, please drop those below.
Well, we'll jump back in. So again, kind of the keys for us, a good smartphone. Our app works on Android and Apple. I'm an Apple guy through and through. We're sitting here talking on a MacBook right now. I've got an iPhone. That said, my brother works for Google, so I'm at some point I'll come around. I'm trying to get him to hook me up with a Pixel 2 or something. I keep teasing him because have you played with the Pixel?
I have not. I've been seeing it lately though.
So it's a nice looking phone, but when you get it in your hand, it feels just like an iPhone.
Okay.
Like it's got an orange button on the side. If you guys know me, I'm a sucker for orange. That's why our app is that way. But the Pixel is pretty much an iPhone. It can do some other cool things. Google would be mad if they heard me say that, but it's kind of funny that way. So at any rate, we might come around to Android, but where were we? The app works on Apple and Android. And then, like I said, I've got that Bluetooth barcode scanner, and I've just got some like Velcro, and it's stronger than Velcro. It's actually pretty grippy. And so once it locks in, I can pretty much hold the scanner. It's not going anywhere. What this allows me to do is when I scan books, I can hold up the barcode and operate with one hand. So I can basically ping the book this way. It's trying to scan into the app, which doesn't exist yet. You can basically scan the books, and what you want to do again, it's just a speed game. You want to scan, see if the book is worth it, and if it's a reject, you just want to kick it to the curb and keep working your way down the shelf. So that's my setup, and also it lets you be pretty inconspicuous. So I don't like to walk in, especially to a garage sale. If someone sees you bust out a bunch of technology, I don't really care if people know what I'm doing because they're trying to sell their books and I'm going to buy them. But some people will jack the prices up if they think you're reselling. So you kind of run into that. And so I love this. You can essentially just set up. It's very discreet. If you just have your hand on it, I've got my cable plugged in. But if you got your hand on the back, they're not really going to see it. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of walk around. Everybody's got their phones out anyway. Hit some books, and no one's the wiser. And you can essentially go under the radar if you like to. So let me share my screen then. We'll pop the app back up. But I wanted to at least show you the process before I disappear here. All right. So the screen should be back up.
Good to go. All
right, so this is SQOUTIQ. Again, some of the things I mentioned is, can you see the whole screen there, the top to the bottom? You see dashboard up at the top. Perfect. So the idea is a database in your hand. So before, you can look up items on Amazon. There's a lot of apps like Profit Bandit and Inventory Lab that let you look up pretty much anything, but you have to have an internet connection, and it takes you that amount of time to talk to Amazon, return the data, and give you those results. It's not bad. You know, a lot of those are fairly inexpensive and they get the job done. But especially for booksellers, we end up in a basement of a library sale, or I like to road trip. I've done several road trips cross country and looked for books, and you end up in a small town and you don't have access to internet or a cell tower or anything, and you're blind. So then basically you have to have something. What we've done is we've created a database, and other apps have done it as well, but we've created a proprietary database. We've got close to 20 million books in there. And the cool thing of our database is we're actually crowdsourcing everybody's scans. So as our beta testers were out, as our customers that are coming on board this weekend go out and scan books, we actually monitor the ISBNs that come in. If it's in the database already, no worries, we just let it pass. If it's new, whether it's right or wrong or anything, we go, we want that, we actually store it, and that allows us to essentially crowdsource the data. So there's new books like that side hustle book I showed. New books are coming out all the time. This lets us kind of capture those without having to sort of monitor the industry. We're just going to do it that way. So you can go in, you can download the database. It's about 1.3 gigs at this point. And again, that's a lot of books. We've done a lot of work to try and optimize that. If we just threw all the data in there, it was close to 5 or 6 gigabytes, which takes a long time to download and kills your phone as well. So it's about 1.3 gigs. You can download the database as often as you like. Right now we update it daily, but we'll be getting to the point where we roll out probably updates 2 or 3 times a day as we kind of fine tune our system. We'll get into the triggers a little bit later. This is a little more complex, but essentially the triggers are what price are you going to list this at? And we've got a lot of science that goes into this. Again, we're booksellers. It's our full-time job. We sell a lot of physical books, so we understand the market. And like I was talking is in the pre-show here a little bit, this is all set up out of the box. So I haven't adjusted the triggers. You can come in here and say, I want to look at the second prime price or third or fourth. You can change your triggers, but we kind of build them out of the box very similarly to how I actually go out and scout on a day-to-day basis. So if you know nothing about books and you want to have like bring me with you to your sale, you can essentially take the app in a non-creepy way. I'll be there telling you whether to buy the book or not.
Have a little Caleb on your shoulder.
I'd be the devil for sure. But then again, you've got a database only. So if you have the room on your phone, if you got 1 gig and you can download the database, you can set it to that. We've got what's called data plus live. So it tries to find the book in our database first and return the value. And then if it's not in our database, it goes and looks it up live. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And then if you didn't pay for the database plan, or you didn't get a chance to download it, or you just want up to the second data, you can look at live and pull the data that way. Got a number of other preferences, but essentially we'll jump in and show you what the app looks like. So again, you can't see me, but I can set up and I can scan. We'll do that side hustle for some of these books here. So you can scan the books, and it's essentially, if it's not in our database, it goes up live. You'll see the picture there. And so it does take a second or two to talk to Amazon and return the data. We'll start in the top left. Well, the profit is essentially based on all those triggers we've set up. It's how much profit's going to be left once you sell it. And the price down below in the bottom left says used buy box, $5.24. This is what our trigger selected. So whatever price in orange gets selected is the selected price. You can price it at Amazon's price if you want. So you can see all the data here. And if you priced it where the app recommends, and again, it's great to have a computer, but it's even better to understand with your eyeballs what's going on. I always look at my scans. Some people like to go blind, and we have audio triggers for that, and it just says yes or no. But I always like to look at the data and know what's going on. But this particular book, again, rank, kind of where my eyes go. We look at rank, so 5,000, it's selling pretty much every day. That's great. I look at the estimated profit, 14 cents, probably not worth it. Even if I got it for free, it's not worth the headache to list it, send it into Amazon and deal with it, right? We can see the lowest used prices on the left. We put the API pretty much returns 20 offers. And if there's no prime prices in the lowest 20, which there aren't, this FBA column right over to the right is blank. That doesn't mean there's no prime offers. It just means they're not in the API. And this is a big blind spot that every scouting app has. Amazon only gives 20 offers. Back a couple years ago, they used to return all the offers. So you could get any data you wanted, which was great. And I think it just got too cost intensive for Amazon to maintain. So a lot of books will show up, and we'll get into this in a minute, but just want to give you a feel for the app first. A lot of books will show up, actually over 50% of books show up with no prime offers visible. And that doesn't mean no one's selling them prime. This one has 334 people selling it. So you can almost guarantee somebody is selling this prime. They're just not in the lowest 20 offers, so it doesn't show up here. So that's a very important piece, and that's one of the challenges we tried to work with when we created this app. So rank, number of offers, you can see the prices used on the left. On the right, you can see the new prices, And then we've got some of the key prices along the bottom. The used buy box, which is usually the lowest used prime price. So in this case, the lowest 20 offers only go up to $4.99, but we see the buy box is $5.24, which means the lowest prime is probably $5.24. The used buy box is $6.88. That's usually the lowest new prime, and usually Amazon kind of steals that as well. And you can see Amazon's on the listing for $6.88. So it's not a very good book. It's selling a lot. 5,000 rank is phenomenal, but you're not going to sell it for very much. Your cap is going to be just under $7 because that's where Amazon is, and that's pretty much it. So that's what the app is. Up on the top right says trade in. That's if anybody's willing to pay cash for this book right now, and that's data from Amazon. And in this case, no one's willing to buy it. You can see it turned red here and says reject it. And then the best for last, we've got eScore up on the top. This is our proprietary data point. So there's a couple challenges when you're selling books, and for those of them have been selling for any length of time, you'll probably appreciate this, or at least I hope you will. So one of the challenges I mentioned with rank early on is rank is just how long ago it last sold. And you'll see tons of YouTube videos and people trying to explain rank, and I think people pretty much understand it at this point. But like I said, a rank of 100,000 means it sold an hour ago. In this case, a rank of 5,000 means it's probably selling multiple copies a day, and that rank is dropping down close to 1. 1 is the best rank that you can have. If a book sells 1 copy, it drops to 100,000. And it doesn't matter if the rank yesterday was 500,000, 5 million, or 18 million. If it sells 1 copy, it's going to drop down to roughly 100,000. That's just the way Amazon's rank works. So rank is very misleading. A better indicator of that is to essentially pull up what we call like a keep a chart. So I'll pop that up. You can do this right from the app as well. So a keep a chart will actually show you see the green squiggles, that's how often it's selling. So you can see the rank here over on the right is going to be that 5,000 that we're looking at. And you can see over time, it's pretty much been under 100,000 for the last several months. So this book is selling pretty much every day. This is a smaller window here. What we do with eScore is we look at the last 180 days and we say how many days did this book sell? So we track every book daily. And if the rank yesterday was 100,000, if the rank today is 400,000, we know it didn't sell. eScore means the book sold at least 1 copy, at least 1 day, and it's out of the last 180 days. So the eScore range is 0 to 180, and that's our proprietary data point. That's what we've been able to kind of calculate and pull in, and that's what we do. So rank is important. 5,000 is great. eScore 139 means 139 days at least out of the last 180, it's sold at least 1 copy. So that lets you know there's lots of demands. And then lastly, you want to look at the pricing, but pricing here is very low. So this is probably going to be a reject type of book. Let's scan a couple other books and just kind of give you a feel for how that works. Again, if it's not in the database, it'll take a little bit to load up and it'll actually show the picture. If it is in our database, let me show you a couple other examples. It's going to be nearly instantaneous. I must be stuck on live mode. I must have left it there. Yep, that's why. All right, we'll go back to database. So if you scan a book in database mode, it's almost instantaneous. And that's the data you're going to get. You won't see a picture because that takes a lot of memory to store. You can see the rank, 6,000. It's selling nearly every day. eScore, 118. It's sold 118 days in the last 6 months. That's all great. The lowest used price is usually a good metric. For sure, if you went in and listed this, you could list it for 12 bucks, 13 bucks. If you're selling at prime, you can get that bump, and the used buy box is usually that lowest prime price. And so that's what you're able to do is pull that price. If you were to sell it at $17, it's a heavier book. It's a Tim Ferriss book, 4-Hour Chef, or if any of you cooks out there. So it's nearly 4 pounds. You're going to pay a lot in Amazon fees or FBA fees to get that managed for you. At 17 bucks after all the fees, you'll walk away with just under 7. So it's telling you to accept. The rank is good. It's going to sell quickly. The price is good. If you can pick it up for $1 or $2 or $3, it's probably worth it because it's going to probably fly off the shelves. So that's the way the app is set up. And again, as fast as you can scan books, it's going to return the data. And we'll scan a couple other books and show you. Typically, it's going to select the used buy box because that's the lowest used price that you're going to compare to. In this case, we selected Amazon because the lowest prime price is 18 bucks. We've got our whole filters, and you can, we'll save all the technical stuff for our YouTube channel or kind of our support area. In this case, you probably match the lowest prime price at 18 bucks if you're going to list this yourself. It's selling all the time, so maybe you pick the third lowest prime price of 18 bucks. But in this case, our app actually pulls in Amazon's data. So Amazon's on this listing for 1863. Our rule based on our triggers, and you change this for your own rules as well. We see the percent from discount from Amazon in there. What this does is it actually lets you say, hey, I don't want to compete with Amazon. You certainly don't want to list higher than Amazon. So I'm going to go 10% under. And again, at this particular book, we would then price this at $17 and change. And at that price, essentially, you can see the profit up in the corner. So that's what we've done with the app. Again, a downloaded database means you're getting access to the data nearly instantly. So if you're at a library sale, it's just as fast as you can scan books, you can bring up the results and know should you buy this or should you not. And it's extremely customizable. Here's a good example. The rank's 3.9 million. A lot of people freak out if the rank's over 1 million. eScore, this book sold once in the last 6 months. So there is some demand, but the prices are so low, it's probably not worth buying. So that's the app in a nutshell. You'll see the bottom, we've got those 3 circles. So we actually have 3 screens. One is kind of the traditional offer screen. If you use Inventory Lab, even FBA Scan, Profit Bandit, you're used to seeing 3 or 4 columns. The other screen is something we kind of dreamed up. We wanted to simplify it. So a lot of times if you're just looking at numbers all day like this, your eyes kind of go buggy and it's hard to make decisions. So we actually set this up where you can see the rank, the eScore. We kind of stripped it down and we show just the key metrics, and they turn red, essentially yellow or orange to match the SQOUTIQ branding, and green. So if you scan a book like that and most everything turns red, you probably don't want to buy the book. Sales rank and eScore is how often it's selling. There's very low demand for this. And then the pricing is also pretty low, so you probably don't want to buy it. We'll scan some other books. Here's one where the rank's pretty good. It's selling, the rank is great. It's 280,000. eScore is just average. It's in the middle. It's at 40. Again, eScore ranges from 0 to 180. The prices are so low though, so you probably don't want to touch it. If you scan a book and nearly everything turns green like this, it's got really low used prices, but pretty much everything turns green, that's a book you're pretty much going to buy. So again, it kind of makes it simple if you're just starting out, and if you want to switch back and forth, you can. So you can see the same book either way and kind of get a good feel for that. So that's the app in a nutshell. The third screen here is a lot of people like seeing their metrics. So you want to go into a library sale and see how many books you can scan in 90 minutes or whatever. So you can actually reset the counter, go through, scan a bunch of books, and it'll tell you how many books you scanned, how many said accept or reject, and what your accept rate is. This is kind of fun. We like it because people share this on social media, but it also helps you understand, is this source good and should I go back to that? So that's the app in a nutshell. And I don't know if you have any other questions there, Chaz. I've been yakking for a little bit here, but
this is amazing. You guys see how important that database mode is, because if you walk into a sale, this happens so many times with myself. You walk into a store or a sale and you have a weak signal, you're gonna scan and try to wait for that freaking page to load. So the fact that database mode, everything is already right there loaded on your phone. I know Caleb recommends basically every morning just sit down and download the fresh data for the day. So the fact that it's quick, it's got I'm very visual. So the fact that you've got that second column that has all the bars for a visual person,
Yep.
that's incredible. So I'm definitely excited for that feature too. If you guys have any questions about this so far, please comment over to the side there. We'll make sure we'll get that answered.
Awesome. So there's a lot of other things, that we get into with the app, but that's essentially it in a nutshell. Again, having that database not only protects you if you don't have internet, but it also speeds you up, because if you're sitting there, you have to wait a second to a second and a half to get data back from Amazon. Looking it up live versus database, it's there instantaneously.
So we had 2 people ask so far. So does it only work with books? And Caleb, you can cover that part again real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, with our beta testing, we try to simplify it, prove the concept, make sure we can get a database that works. And again, designing for both Apple and Android presents just a variety of challenges. So right now we are books only. And I know that a lot of you sell other categories, and that's great. We are actually going to be rolling out live lookup, so you can look up live products in any category. We're targeting mid-December for that. So if you do toys, CDs, DVDs, if you want to scan UPCs, or even if you want to type in titles of books that don't have ISBN. So books prior to, I'm going to blank, but it's sometime in the early 70s, they don't have ISBNs if they're before then. So the only way to find out on Amazon is to do a title search. So we're going to allow for that. Or again, we're targeting mid-December if all goes well. And then we'll try and roll categories out for other products as well, specifically CDs, DVDs, probably video games, toys are kind of the popular categories. So we're just getting started. Books is kind of my background. Again, I sell 99.5% books. I sell a handful of Starbucks mugs and a few CDs and DVDs, but pretty much I'm a book guy.
I love Starbucks mugs. If you guys want to bolo, like Anytime you go to Starbucks stores, always look up those mugs.
People are figuring it out, but there's still a lot of good of mugs, especially internationally. If you don't mind shoving a few in your suitcase, it's a good way to you can buy them for $10 there and sell them for 50 on Amazon. It's pretty crazy.
We actually almost every time we go into Goodwill, we find Starbucks mugs every time. So you can get those.
You must be lucky. I've looked because I don't do anything much other than books, but I like to kind of cruise the aisles and just see what's there. And I've looked for mugs. I've never seen a Starbucks mug in a Goodwill yet.
We're also in the whole like Portland, Seattle.
Yeah, that's true.
Area. So yeah,
you're in the Mecca region. Yep.
Awesome. Somebody said I have family members to do book sourcing too. Hold on. Did we get it?
I don't know.
Oh, you were jumping up and down. Trista's jumping up and down. Our guy called. We might be getting an office space. So
heck yeah.
Somebody said I have family members to do book sourcing too. Would it be okay to share with them?
So our app is actually linked to your individual phone. So every phone, whether it's Apple or Android, has a unique device ID, and we actually tie the subscriptions to that. So unfortunately, no sharing at this point. We are working on, I don't really want to get into it. We've got some competitors that pretty much copy everything we're doing, but we've got some pretty cool features designed if you're going to be doing team-based scouting or multi-users. We've got something in mind. But right now, it's one subscription for one device.
We'll just say it has the Chaz stamp of approval.
There you go.
Excited for it. One thing FBA Scan has is numbers of FBA used new offers next to the column heading. It does have that 20 lowest price limitation like you noted, but can you turn those offer numbers on?
We will be able to get that. I don't want to get into the details. The way they're getting their data is not exactly kosher. So that data is available, but it's something we're gonna have to work a little harder to get. So not right now. Again, if I pop the screen back up, you can always see the used buy box, which is typically the lowest prime price, and that's the metric you're trying to find. Let me show you one other piece because I didn't show that. We're going to be doing everything by the book. We're not going to risk any of you guys getting shut down or us getting shut down. So if it's gray area or against Amazon's terms, we ain't doing it. So again, here's a good example of a book. Can you see my screen again?
Good to go.
Can you see the mouse there as well?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so again, a lot of times you'll see this FBA column is blank. That doesn't mean there's no FBA offers. It just means they're not visible. So one thing we can do, Amazon's API, it's extremely rate limited, so it's hard to get, and we'll figure it out. We'll do it appropriately, but we can show the number of prime offers so you can see it. But really, we're already showing you the lowest prime. So this price here, $17.94, is outside the lowest 15 or 20 offers, which means like normally you can't see it, but it is in Amazon's API, so we can pull it. The other way to do this is you can actually click the Amazon button in the bottom right corner and just pull up all the prime prices. So again, you can see the used buy box matches what is here. It's usually the lowest prime price, but you can always click through whether you have a pro Amazon account or not and see the lowest prime prices. So hopefully that helps make sense. And again, the new buy box is usually the lowest new prime, and we get Amazon's price as well. So yeah, to answer your question, we don't have that data point just yet. We will try and add it when we can.
Awesome. Aside from that, I think we're good on questions. Everyone's asking how they can get it now. Anything else you need to add, or do you want to move on to you guys like bonuses, right?
Absolutely.
These guys like bonuses. All right, looks like we're good. Awesome. Yeah, looks like your answer covered that. Cool. Well, of course, we love Caleb. We love everything that he's doing. So we're officially partnering up with him. So he's got some cool incentives going on throughout the rest of tonight. So if you want to go ahead and lay down what those look like.
Absolutely. So I guess one of the big questions people ask is, what's this going to cost? So there are 2 other apps on the market actually that have database mode. Most people don't know about number 2. You know about us, we're number 3. We're brand new. So most people use FBA Scan. That's kind of the common one. They came from the Stone Ages. They used PDAs originally and then eventually moved it over to the smartphones. And they actually didn't really innovate for the last 5 or 6 years. They were kind of stuck with the same app. And we came along, and it's interesting. It's competition. I got no hard feelings, maybe just a few. They pretty much copied nearly everything we were doing, down to the design of that second screen I showed you, down to the scan tracker, and you know, that's how they play the game, I guess. So we're going to keep our design stuff close to the vest, and we're just going to keep rolling out. So we're just getting started here. But the other app most people don't know about is NitoScan, and it's got a whole suite of stuff. It's more aimed at bulk sellers, but they also have a database plan as well. They're $50 a month. FBA scan is 40. We're coming in between. We're coming in at 44. And the reason is I think 50 is a little bit high. It just sounds like a higher number. And again, at one point we had scouts in 12 different states, and we had 15 or 16 licenses. So we were paying a good chunk of money for each license, and there's some discounts, and we'll do the same thing with multiple users, but it's expensive. So we wanted to try and keep costs down a little bit. We also wanted to price at a premium relative to FBA scan because we offer a lot more value. We've got eScore. We're bringing in the customizable triggers. We're looking at profit. So one thing FBA scan does is they're just looking at your list price, which is irrelevant. Now that Amazon changed the fees, a $10 book could net you $1.50, could net you $4, depends on the weight, depends on the size classifications. So everything we do is based off profit. We're really helping you understand what your bottom line is. So we're pricing at a premium to them, and the reason there is we're going to provide more value. Right now we're just books, and so it's kind of hard to say, hey, we're the premium products, but once we set our price, it's hard to raise it later. So we're coming in high, and we talk to our developer every day, our team there. We're going to say, hey, we're at a premium, we've got to deliver. So that's going to keep us going and keep us motivated. That said, we're not charging the full 44 just yet. So one thing we're doing right now, we had a beta test for about 4 months. It was 110 days. And as we came out the backside, we're actually doing a 20% discount. So instead of 44, you'll be paying $35.20 a month. And on top of that, the bonuses are actually pretty good because they'll almost pay for the subscription. So again, 2 plans. One is database plus unlimited live, $44 a license. The other plan is just live only. If you don't need the database, if you don't want it, you just want live data, but you want eScore and all the triggers that we've set up, that's $14 a month. Both of those plans are 20% off. But in addition, we're giving you 3 other discounts. So the first discount is, if you guys use my tracking spreadsheet, or if you've seen that, it's normally $170. It's a one-time fee, and we're going to knock $95 or $75 off that. So it's going to be $95. The other 2 are a little more intriguing. So Chaz mentioned I'm the creator of eFlip earlier. eFlip, we never discount. It's $79 a month. It's been that way for 2 years. We don't plan on changing it. We're actually going to be rolling out, and this isn't the purpose of this video, but we're going to be rolling out an entirely new search platform with SQOUTIQ data. It's going to be called eFlip Outliers, and we're going to include that at no extra charge. So if you have an eFlip membership, you get that for free.
Nice.
So eFlip's normally $79. We're going to knock $20 off a month if you lock in the Founders Club pricing by $11.59 tonight, Mountain Time. Most of you don't know what Mountain Time is. We're Colorado. Come on, show us some love. So that's going to be 10:59 p.m. Pacific time for those of you on the West Coast. If you're on the East Coast, you probably shouldn't be awake. It's going to be 1:59 a.m. tomorrow morning. So if you're still awake, you can still lock in your plans by then. So lock in your discounts by tonight at 10:59 p.m. Pacific. You can do the math on the other time zones. You get 20% off any plan. You can stack that as well. So if you want to do a 6-month plan, you get your monthly rate down to closer to $32 a month. And if you do an annual plan, you get your monthly rate down closer to $28 a month. So pretty good discounts there. In addition, you're going to get $20 off a month of eFlip for as long as you remain a customer. And we're actually applying this to current eFlip customers as well. So it's not just for new customers. It's not a way to just get new people in. If you believe in what we're doing with SQOUTIQ and lock in, we'll show you some love as well. We like our customers. So we'll give you $20 off a month. We're also we've teamed up with AccelerList. Charles, are you familiar with AccelerList? Have you used them?
I have started rolling out with some personal tests. So you can see my whiteboard. It's on my list. I'm going to create a tutorial video for you guys and show you exactly what that's all about.
Awesome. So AccelerList, Travis and Jeff kind of run that company. I actually got involved early as sort of an advisor and actually a business partner. I put some money in as an investment. But AccelerList helps you list. So if you use Inventory Lab, it's pretty much an Inventory Lab replacement. You can list books live, print your SKU labels as you list, do box level contents. It's really helpful, especially if you're listing books and you've got a pile of media that you've got to figure out how to get listed quickly. It's going to help you do that. So AccelerList is normally $29 a month, and we're going to get you $10 off a month for the first year. So you can save $10 a month on AccelerList. Unfortunately, AccelerList is only for new customers. So if you're an existing customer, you can't jump on that. eFlip, you can. So that's kind of all the fine print. So you get $10 off a month with AccelerList for your first year, $20 off a month with eFlip indefinitely. So you're saving 30 bucks a month, and all you're paying is 35 if you lock in at the cheapest rate. So that's what we've got going on. And I think, Chaz, you've got a link if you want to share that.
Yeah, just if you're over in the chat, I just dropped that link over there. You can see a whole visual layout of all the bonuses, everything that you're getting. Just the discounts alone, guys, especially just on eFlip by itself, 20 bucks off a month. As an eFlip user myself, that's a huge discount, especially on a high ticket item that never goes on sale.
Yep. And I shouldn't say this, but if you want to lock in at the live plan, let's say, hey, I don't know if I like this app. I haven't really tried it yet. You can sign up for a free 14-day trial, but you're going to miss the window. Again, we kind of did this as our founders club, essentially to roll it out and help our beta testers. If you haven't used it yet, you're not quite sure, you can just sign up. You get a free 14-day trial, then you'll be billed after that, but you'll be billed at the regular rate. If you lock in tonight, you can use Chaz's link. When you go to checkout, use coupon code FOUNDERS, plural, and it's all caps, and that'll get you the 20% off, and we'll also email you the discounts tomorrow. So I shouldn't tell you this, but if you get the live monthly plan, it's only going to be $11.20 a month, so just over 11 bucks a month, and you'll still get the other discounts. So if you're thinking about signing up for anything else, it's a good chance to get your foot in the water and at least test out our app as well.
So Nathan K says, I was able to get the beta test of this great platform. Looking forward to using the app and seeing how it evolves with more categories.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're just getting started. We kind of joked with our beta testers as we got going, we could keep the beta test going forever, because at some point we're always tinkering, we're always trying to improve, we're always trying to optimize. And there's a lot of, like, I can't show you because there's some proprietary stuff on there, but we've got an entire whiteboard just labeled with tons of features. And we're going to be trying to aggressively tackle those and hire more developers if we have to. But we are just getting started. We're never fully ready for launch. I'd love to have other categories. I'd love to have other database products. I'd love, there's so many things I'd like to have, but at some point we got to start making money too. So it's been about a year in development between harvesting the data, making sure it's updated regularly, and then actually designing, getting a designer involved, and creating the app. And it's been a long process, but it's been very gratifying. It's been fun to if you've been on the beta test, just thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's been awesome. Just being there, and just the feedback and the support you guys have shown has been awesome. I love this community. So yeah, we're just getting started, and we're books only for now. But like I said, we should offer live lookups for any category probably within about a month.
Awesome. Somebody asked, does it work well with multiple marketplaces such as Mexico, Canada?
So it's US only, and again, we're going to shore up the ship here, make sure we got show some love for our people here. Once we roll live lookups out, I think theoretically the lookups are going to be identical for Mexico and Canada. So we should be able to allow live lookups in other countries. Don't hold me to that. We need to do some more research. We'll also look to roll out database. Again, I actually went and tested. I met some of the Canadian sellers up in Toronto earlier this summer. We were up there anyway, checking out Niagara Falls, and we just decided to check out the book market and go hit some thrift stores. And David, if you're on the call, thanks for showing us around. He treated us to lunch. Actually, I think we bought him lunch, but he showed us around his town and kind of checked out the market in Canada. And the cell phone reception was terrible up there. So the database mode is really important. That's what we're going to look to roll out in other countries as well. But one thing at a time, we got to take care of our current customers right now. And if you're in the US, that's you. But after that, we'll see.
Outstanding. Awesome. Well, to confirm again, guys, in order to lock in your discounts, your bonuses, all that fun stuff, especially just the fact that it's 20% off, that has to be locked in by 10:59 p.m. Pacific time. And obviously just Google if you need to see what time zone you're in.
and I didn't mention this, but if your 20% discount actually applies to the life of your subscription. So if you lock in at the $35 rate per month, it's not going to go back up to $44. Every month you'll get an invoice. You will keep that discount for as long as you remain a customer. Now, if you cancel or you try and downgrade or upgrade, you'll lose the discount. It's only if you stay at the current plan. So choose wisely. We also do have a lifetime plan, and it's only a launch special. So it's $1,000, and that's unlimited database live for one device for as long as you're a customer. If your Amazon account gets shut down, no problem, we'll work with you. If you get a new phone, no problem, we'll work with you. You can't sell this. There's no refunds. That's kind of the fine print, but that's going to go away. We'll never do a lifetime plan. I don't want to say never because we might bust it out again, but we have no plans to bring this back. And that's been one of our popular items as well. So if you want to avoid monthly fees, it's $1,000, especially if you're a bookseller. If this app already does everything you need it to, And as we roll out other categories, it'll be there. So as we innovate on the app, if you lock in the $35 price point now, as we innovate and add features, your rate's not going to go up. You get every feature we have in the app as long as you maintain that.
Outstanding. Yeah. So especially if you're already doing full-time books as it is, it's kind of a no-brainer. Especially if you don't want to be doing monthly fees and all that fun stuff. I think we're good on questions. Awesome. Well, Caleb, my friend, thank you so much for your time. Always much appreciated.
Yeah,
and,
good to be on.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get you on for some more.
Let's do it. And good luck getting that office. I hope they call back and you're able to secure it.
I'm going to call right now, see what we can do.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, reminder, guys, you have until 10:59 p.m. Pacific time to lock in your special. If you are watching the recording of this, it's going to be in the description of the YouTube video, as well as posted in the FBA Rockstars group. If you're on the chat, you can scroll up real quick before we end this and check out the link there. Aside from that, peace out, crew. Caleb, awesome. You are the man. Thanks again.
Thanks, Chaz. Yep. Later.
I'll see you soon.
Bye.